Hey everybody, it's Mo Bunnell. I'm your host here at Real Relationships, Real Revenue. I and my teams have trained almost 20,000 experts all over the world, people with one foot in delivery and one foot in business development. And we train sound, efficient, and authentic business development skills. I'm joined in this episode by Ron Tite. Ron is the head and founder, CEO of an agency called Church and State. He's written the book Think, Do, Say. I loved it. I reached out to him, wanted to have him on the show, and he did not disappoint. In the last episode, he gave us his big idea on what you can do to start to build your personal brand, how to get awareness in the marketplace. A lot of really cool stuff using his Think, Do, Say framework. And in this episode, I'm going to go really deep, specifically on Ron's advice on how we can create and close more opportunities. Now, before we get into it, if you want our latest thinking on how to do just that, creating and closing more opportunities, then head over to growbigplaybook.com. That's where you can sign up in seconds for a little weekly newsletter that I write myself. I took a couple hours to do it, and I really try to give you one nugget every week that you can use to elevate your business development game. You get that over at growbigplaybook.com. So, with that said, here is Ron Tite. Hey, everybody, it's Mo Bunnell, your host here at Real Relationships, Real Revenue. This is the second episode where I'm interviewing Ron Tite. Ron owns an agency called Church and State. His book is fantastic. I devoured it the first day it came to my doorstep. It's called Think, Do, Say. Ron, the question today is how can our audience get better at creating and closing more of the meaty work that they want to do?
It's such a great question because, and I love that you didn't say like how can they, develop more business because I think the meaty work that they want to do because that man that's where margin right. It's you probably you've done it enough that your process is really sound. You really know what you're talking about. You've got tons of experience, and so you can do it in a faster amount of time. So your margins are greater. You're adding more value when it's meaty work you want to do. And I think that is the first step, which is like identify what is the stuff that you want to do, and what is the stuff that you as a person wants to do. And really, at the end of the day, we should all just be happy and fulfilled, shouldn't we? I mean, really. And I just had somebody who resigned from the agency. And the reason they resigned was because I prompted them and said, I just want you to be happy and fulfilled. And you just I haven't felt like you've been happy and fulfilled lately. And if you can be here, amazing. We have all these opportunities for you. But if it's not, then you got to tell me and I will help you find the opportunity, the meaty opportunity for you. And I said, take the weekend. And she came back and said, you know what? I want to do my own personal art. You're right. Until you told me, I didn't realize I really wasn't happy and fulfilled for this past year. So I think that's a great place to start. I think that what you need to do is that I think you need to put yourself in a position to close. And I think you need to build the organization that people want to work with. There's no better way than to create those meaty opportunities than to be the organization that other people want to work with. And from there, it just becomes aligning the opportunity with what you have to offer and being sure that you clearly communicate where you add the best value over and over and over again. We're doing a rebrand right now of a suicide prevention organization, and I can't name it, but so we're completely rebranding that. And when you look like when you really think about it in those terms, when it's suicide prevention, you don't want the people calling saying I don't like my job. Like this is a really high octane, really specific service. And you really want the people who can best use the service, who are in a position to gain the most value from that service. And that might be a bit harsh in terms of an example for most of us in business, but we should kind of operate in that way. Like who are the really specific people who can best use our service, and how do we go and put ourselves in a position to win when those people realize that they need our service.
So I like this. Let's go. I want to build on something you said in the last episode, because I think this is
Sure.
going to be really meaningful to our audience, and it flows right from what you were just talking about. You've got your think, do, say framework, which, folks,
Mhm.
if you didn't hear that whole thing, go back and listen to the last episode. Really good. The say part of the program is sort of, how do you get the word out? How do you tell people about what you do? How do you magnetically attract people to you because of the press you're getting, because of word of mouth, all kinds of other things? So, Ron, if I'm let's say the person we're talking about is thinking about their personal brand for whatever reason. They're trying to get more awareness around the personal brand so they can grow their career, so they can get people asking them about what they do. Say they're
Mhm.
a lawyer. What do they do to really to gain awareness? If they know who they're for. Well, anyway, you just go roll with that.
Yeah.
You're going to be good.
Yeah, so the say part, and you're right, and you can break it down from a, well, what do you say, and where do you say it, and how do you say it, and when do you say it? There's actually a model that I've adapted, but the model comes from a guy named Todd Lowe Henry. So his model, he taught it to me, and then I adapted it for kind of my world, and it's called the 4 C's. So the 4 C's are consumption, curation, creation, and connection.
You say that
Now,
again.
so the first one is consumption.
Yep.
So once you've got that brand belief, you know fundamentally what your higher purpose is, and you know what you're here for, you need to operationalize the strategic consumption of media that supports that. And it's other people, it is articles, and it is magazines, and it is blog posts, and it is listening to podcasts and all that. So how do you operationalize? Meaning, how do you efficiently consume media that makes you smarter, that makes you better? And so personally, I use Feedly. It's an RSS feed. It's an old school kind of thing. It's an RSS,
Yep. Me
so
too.
yeah, right? So you can go through and you go like, not relevant, not relevant. Oh yeah, this headline is, I really got to read this. Okay. And you can't just do this all day, every day. You have other stuff to do. So you need to operationalize an efficient way of consuming it. Second C is curation. What curation does is I curate it 3 ways. The first way is I curate that out to, let's say, my community. And over time, people have gone, I like the way this guy thinks. They're in my community. And that might sound wanky, but you know what I mean. People who follow and whatever. So I curate that out because I think this is really important. And this may even be from another agency.
Yeah.
And I go, I don't care. I didn't write this, but you need to read this. But I also editorialize it. So I go, this is a summary. This is a key line. This is a key data point. I disagree with this, but I love this. Whatever it is, I editorialize it. Okay. So that's the curation, part A of curation. Part B of curation is, like you, Mo, I do a ton of speaking. I do, in non-pandemic times, I do probably between 70 and 75 keynotes a year. Now, one cannot do that many speeches and get up every night and go, let's see what speech I'm going to do tomorrow. I need to operationalize it. I also don't want to deliver the exact same speech every time. So the second part of that curation is I take that and I have a bunch of buckets. I've got probably 30 buckets. Within think might be, purpose might be one bucket. And there's 70 slides in there because I've read an article and I go, okay, I'm going to design the slide right now of what am I going to talk about when I reference this key insight that I thought was important. I design the slide right then. I take my editorialized notes and the resource, the source of the article, and I put it right into the speaker notes in the slide, and it goes into the whatever bucket. It's the storytelling bucket, the authenticity bucket, whatever. So that when I go to write a speech or when I go to do a presentation to a financial services organization, it's there. I'm not trying to create this thing, which takes so much time to do that. You can't do it the night before and be good. You can't do it the week before a big presentation for a big opportunity and be good. Chris Rock does not take a week to write an HBO or Netflix comedy special. He tours it for a year. And then when the big moment hits, he's got it. It's good to go. So that's the second part of curation. The third part of curation is I take those exact same things and I move it into a tool called Scrivener. Scrivener is where I write my books. I'm always writing the next pitch and the next speech, and I'm always writing the next book every single week, even though I don't even know what the next book is yet. I'm just putting it into buckets and I'm putting my editorialized notes. So that's the curation side. The third C is creation. At some point, I got to create my own stuff. I got to do my own white paper. I got to do my own post. I got to do my own podcast. Whatever it is, I need to create my own stuff and get that out to the world. The fourth C is then connection. So, and I can show you screen grabs. I literally follow this every single week. When I've put something, let's say into LinkedIn, for me, that's the platform of choice. I've put this, you got to read this article because I think this is really important. The connection part is if somebody goes, I'm calling BS, or not in a telco industry that doesn't work that way, or I love this, and here's another example. This is such an amazing place to be because people are challenging your thinking where you can double down and say, nope, I've got the data to prove it. I fundamentally believe what I wrote. They're challenging your thinking and you go, oh, I didn't think about it that way. Or I didn't have experience in a law firm. Man, a partner-led environment, that's a completely different thing. And so the next time I go to do a speech or the next time I go to do a business development presentation in a pitch, because I've had that perspective, I can go, now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking not in a law firm. There's no way. And here's how we would adapt, because I already dealt with that 8 weeks ago. And it also allows you to showcase your personality as to how do you deal with conflict when somebody says, I'm calling BS on this. If you go, oh, you know what, that's really cool. If you then get angry and people are like, I don't want to, that's where your personality shows. It's not in the post, it's in the comments. And that's where people go, I wanted to do business with this person. When you accumulate all those 4 C's together, you put yourself into a position, somebody who goes, this person, or this organization, I like the way they think. And I tell you, the amount of business development we get from people simply reaching out on LinkedIn, and a lot of them aren't appropriate for us. It's either not a big enough budget or it's not really in our sweet spot, but they're clamoring to say, I want to do business with you guys so much that it's actually changed how, because I'm the face of it, that we have to actually protect and go like, well, it's more than Ron, right? Like it's not just me, that there's a team of other people here. So it's a really long-winded answer to a great question.
No, Ron, it's great. I love the consumption, the curation, the creation, and the connection, and it was the examples that I think really made it come to life. So there's more here, but I want to save it for the next episode because we've got so much good content, folks, coming your way. So, Ron, where should people go if they want more of you? And of course, there's more people behind it than you, Ron, at Church and State. Where should they go to learn more about you and the entire team at Church and State?
You can go to rontite.com or you can go to churchstate.com. And remember, we are not a spiritual organization. People hear that.
But oh, I couldn't think of the word. There's a word there that was close to spiritual, but you're like an ambassador for
We are
brand or
led by a
something like
higher power. That is
Oh, okay.
a purpose of better advertising and marketing. Yeah.
I love it. Well, everybody head over to rontite.com or churchstate.com. Is that right? There's no
That's right.
and in there. Yeah, churchstate.com. And honestly, the book Think, Do, Say is so good. Like Ron's given us the live version now, everybody. But check out the book because it's power packed. Ron, thanks for being on the show, and everybody. In the next episode, I'm going to ask Ron, how can we use all of his frameworks to deepen relationships? Thanks, Ron.
Thanks, Mo. And thanks for everybody for listening.